The day starts at 5 a.m. with an early morning wake-up call at the Reserve Lodge. Then at 6, the Land Rovers arrive to take the excited passengers to the launch site, about half a mile away or so. Maggie, Anne, and travelling companions Bernice and Alex have decided to get an airborne view of life for the animals at this, their most active, and for some, the most dangerous part of the day. The Masai Mara is a name to conjure up romance. This is the northern tip of the Great Serengeti Plains, just south of the equator, separated politically at independence, but still operating as one giant game park. Whilst the ground crew untie the restraining cables and check that everyone is settled and secure, American pilot Joe Brown fires up the propane gas burners. Instantly, the chill of the early morning air becomes a thing of the past, as the heat is directed down onto the 12 passengers assembled below. Then almost as an anticlimax, you become vaguely aware that the crew, Land Rovers, and indeed the ground seem to be gently drifting away from you. This is it. We are flying. You are instantly transformed into pioneering aviators. That very first second of floating reassures your absolute safety, and you instantly know that whatever happens from now on, you don't want this trip to ever end.
If I had a strong wind going this way, taking us toward Tanzania,
you could yaw it, could you?
I'd go up some, because nearly anywhere in the world you fly, 8 out of 10 days when you go up, you go to the right. I don't care where it is. It's 8 out of 10 days, not every day. Maybe we'll get some, so I'm going to try one. Look at that sky. It doesn't look like it should do that.
As the sun begins to peep through the clouds over the mountains of Tanzania, the view below transforms into an aerial picture of our lodge complex, Kikorok, with our own lodge apartments, swimming pool and restaurant facilities clearly in view. Now, having overcome the initial trepidation of takeoff, the views all around become the reality, and cameras, videos and voices become apparent. Who will be the first to spot one of the big five? Rhino, elephant, buffalo, leopard, lion? And right on cue, an elephant with 2 calves comes neatly into view. We are probably at 500 feet, but they are still wary of our presence. Joe decides to drop us down to about 4 feet from the ground. A giraffe watches curiously as we sweep past. We must look an odd sight to him, although he looks an odd sight to us.
Watching us. He thinks, what in the world?
Flying low over the savannah is probably the most interesting part of the trip. Intimate views down into the trees and watering holes. Who knows what will be disturbed? We all have dreams of what creatures we would like to see here in Africa, and Bernice's is to see vultures. To come across a tree full of them, all looking just like Disney caricatures, exceeds all their hopes and expectations. Most animals are used to the noise of this floating leviathan, but some are just naturally skittish, antelope being amongst the most nervous. Others definitely do not like the intrusion into what is, after all, their territory. Still more are simply just hungry and ugly. Alex's dream is to see it chase, grizzly devil, but Joe flew us to just the right spot.
Yeah, they're going for it.
Oh,
They're
they're on the buffalo. Look! They're chasing the buffalo. Not gonna get him. Not gonna get him.
The annual migration of the humble wildebeest is one of the greatest spectacles on Earth. In July, up to 2 million trek north from the Serengeti to the Masai Mara in search of fresh grazing. Then, towards the end of September, they begin to head back once again, in an almost endless column across the savannah. Soon it's time to come back down to Earth, and Joe begins to manoeuvre the balloon towards a likely landing site. We were all conscious of a pride of lions not too far from our present position that could still be looking forward to their breakfast. It's at about this time that you realise you really don't want to land, but inevitably you do. Your heart crashes back to Earth with a bump bigger than that of the basket. All that saves us from utter dejection is the champagne breakfast laid out for us all by the ground crew. A gourmet picnic fit for a king. So this is the real breakfast in the Mara. All manner of food and drink served by the most friendly and courteous people that we have ever met. But somewhere, not a million miles away, another king is having his breakfast. And so the daily cycle of life in the wild continues.